Anytime a student is out, whether they're just feeling under the weather, I know we don't always take our kids to the doctor. I know I did not. We kind of give it a little bit of time to self-heal whatever's going on. Write a note, respond to the parent square. It shows your communication with the school. Okay. Again, I just want to encourage you to make school a priority. The other part of compulsory law is the 90% rule. This applies to how many days a student has to attend school. The state requires students to attend school 90% of the days the school is offered. The school absences, this includes both your unexcused and your excused. Okay. So you could have doctor's notes, you could have handwritten notes, you could have days that aren't excused. All of those combined contribute to the 90% rule. The 90% rule says students that miss 10% of the school, that's typically 17 to 18 days. It depends on how many days your school is offered. You could lose credit for courses, and that's for your middle school and high school, or potentially be retained in the same grade level. That applies to all grade levels. So if you've missed 18 days of school, you're already considered in the state of Texas to have chronic and excessive absences. And that's where that determination starts happening on campuses. Is this student able to move on to the next grade? You may have to attend Friday and Saturday detentions. You might have to miss out on events during school to make up some time to get the instruction and complete a rigorous summer program. We try to offer things where parents can make up some of that time, but we can't do that if you're not helping participate in that. But I just want you to keep that in mind. There's just a lot of penalties that come with missing days of school. And so I just want you to know that those two sides, there's truancy and there's the 90% rule. There are some things, there's many things that you can do to help support us in that effort. One of them, again, is making attendance a priority by showing up every day. We have to train our kids and show our kids that education is important to us. And so we want to translate and trickle that down to our student. Just making sure that school is a priority. Making sure that you develop backup plans for days you're unable to get your child to school. A lot of our absences and even our tardies are due to transportation or family emergencies. It's real important that you have those backup plans. If you don't have a car, you're a one-car family, you need to be thinking out those plans of how I'm going to get my student to school when dad has the car or mom has the car. Or, we need to be thinking about those things ahead of time so that we can make sure our kids come to school. Same with family emergencies. If, grandma is sick and somewhere and you're having to travel, having those backup plans to have the student, somebody here that can help pick up that slack while you have to be away for a short period of time. Try not to schedule non-emergency medical appointments and extended trips while school's in session. You really need to pay attention to our calendar. We put our calendar out pretty early before school starts so that you can kind of make plans and trips and mini vacations, if you will, around that calendar. Because again, what we do is we want to set the tone that being at school is important. And if we're scheduling extended trips, family vacations during school time, we're not sending that message, but your student is missing so much valuable instructional time. Routine appointments. I know, there's times we have to go to the doctor. It is what it is. But I really want you to be cognizant of looking at when can I schedule that doctor's appointment? Can I schedule it early in the morning? Because I can schedule it at 8:30, take my student to the doctor. I may not be back till 10, but when I bring them back and I bring a doctor's note, they're counted present for the day. We just have to remember that. Okay. Try to make them early in the morning or at the end of the day. Set regular bedtimes and morning routines for family. And I know over the year when I've met with a lot of families, they do struggle with sometimes their kids getting up early or, The tardies could be because Johnny wouldn't get dressed in time. We woke up late. I couldn't get him started. We've got to set those routines at home. Keep students home for contagious illnesses only. I know this is a hard discussion for a lot of families since COVID, but kids are going to be sick. And when I say sick, I mean fever, vomiting, diarrhea. Those are the times you should be keeping students home. When a student has a runny nose, or they have a little cough, or they have a little headache or a little tummy ache, that's not a reason to keep them home. All of us experience those, and we still have to come to work, and we still have to come to school. But if you're really that worried about it, bring them to school. Let the nurse determine that. Let the nurse determine if the child is too sick to remain in school. And with siblings, just because my kindergartner's sick doesn't mean that I'm going to keep my third grader at home, because your third grader's not sick. We need to, if the kindergartners got a fever and they didn't sleep, and we need to keep them home to keep them away from and exposing other students. Our third grader doesn't have a fever. Let's bring the third grader to school so that they're not missing out on that valuable instruction as well. So just keep in mind, making sure when we pick our kids up or when we're bringing them to school, to not do that as a family unit. I know sometimes, it's more convenient to do so, but we really need to make sure all of our students are getting all of that time that's necessary for them to be successful. Again, always bring a note when you return, and reach out to the teacher or administrator if your student, is feeling a certain way about being at school, if they're feeling uncomfortable, or if they're sharing with you that, maybe they're having issues with another student or a teacher. Communicate that with the school. So that y'all can come together and maybe talk about a plan how y'all can resolve that and make your student feel more comfortable about being here. That's what we're here for. We're not looking at attendance on the level of, we want to get you, we want to punish the student. That is not at all what we want to do. We just want to bring awareness and expectation, and hopefully in partnership together, making school a priority. Just remember, attending school regularly helps students feel better about school, especially those little ones. I know sometimes, especially in the pre-K3 and pre-K4, this can't be considered as Mother's Day out. It's school. These laws apply to all grade levels. Once a student you decide to enroll your student in an early childhood program, you follow under those compulsory laws, even though that they're not required for you to enroll. Once you do enroll, the state laws apply. But again, we need to set that foundational expectation. When my 3-year-old's crying and just doesn't want to come to school, we need to work that out. We need to get them to come to school, because that's how we're setting that pattern, that expectation that school's important. The more we let them stay home, the harder it is for them to come back. So we need to build this habit early so that they learn right away to come to school on time. And every day is important. Learning happens every day. And even as children grow older and more independent, I know we've got some middle school kids and some high school kids. Families and parents, you still play that key role in making sure that your students' attendance is important to their success. And that's in school and on the job. So, again, I just want to stress that we're thinking of the whole child. We're setting them up for success, not just in school, but as a young adult. And if there's anything our school can ever do to support you and support those efforts, please reach out. We always want to hear from parents. We want to take that time to meet with you, and so that we can do this in partnership. We have to have your support in making sure that these things happen. So I appreciate your time. And if anybody ever has any questions about attendance and those policies and those laws, you can reach out to your campus attendance clerk, and they can, or your administrator, and they can explain those things to you. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Shelley, thank you. I think we have time maybe for one or two questions if someone wants to ask Shelley directly. No? Okay.
I know this isn't the most exciting part of conversation, but it is our reality. And you know, we want to do right by the students, but we can only do so much if they're not here. So
Thank you, Shelley. Our next speaker is Ms. Martinez.
Hi, how's everyone doing? Once again, we want to kind of thank you for joining us today. I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to first start talking about Parent Square. So we hope that you all have access to
Shelly,
Parent
I believe
Square.
you have. I'm sorry, Ms. Martinez. Shelly, I think you need to stop sharing so that Ms. Martinez can share her screen.
done.
Okay, and Shelley, I just saw a question someone put in the chat box. It says, what if your child gets sent home? Is that excuse?
If your child is sent home, obviously, I'm assuming you're talking about, I'm just making a time up, say 2 o'clock on Wednesday. If they are in middle school and high school where they're really watching those courses, yes, those are excused days. Those are excused courses or periods, if you will. We try not to send kids home, you know, before that time that we take attendance early in the morning. And then if, say, we send a student home because they have fever at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, obviously our policy is 24-hour fever free. So the next following day has not been 24 hours. So the following day is excused. Now, after that, that's where you'll need to bring a note or a doctor's note or something like that. I hope that makes sense. The nurses and the attendance clerks do communicate regularly, and that's why we have to sign in and out on a lot of forms so that we can keep track of that.
Okay, thank you, Shelley.
Okay, can you see my screen? All right,
Yes.
Let's start this video.
If you are watching this video, it means that your school is using Parent Square. You may be asking yourself, what is Parent Square? Parent Square is a safe, secure, and modern approach to communication and collaboration between school and home. It is a central hub for all district, school, grade level, class, and group notifications about your children. Better still, school communication comes right to your fingertips in a way that is convenient to you, whether it be email, text, or app notification. You will also receive text or voice calls for urgent alerts and reminders. You should have received an invitation from Parent Square via email or text asking you to activate your account. You can also request another activation invitation with the email or phone number that you provided to your child's school at parentsquare.com or on the app. If you don't remember the information on file at your child's school, please fill out your Join Your School form to send a request to your child's school to add you to Parent Square today. Parent Square also has easy-to-use apps for iOS and Android phones that can be downloaded from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Once logged in, you'll see your custom Parent Square feed. This page shows all information related to your children, including any school-wide, grade level, class, or group-specific information. No more need to search through emails, schools, or multiple websites to find important information. Prefer text messages over email? No problem. From your account page, you can update your notification preferences, so information is coming how and when you'd like it. Language settings can also be changed, so information is coming in your preferred language. Parent Square is great at increasing collaboration and helps you get involved in your school communities. You will automatically receive information from the school office and your kids' classes, and any groups you or your kids belong to. You may also join a public group within the school. You can participate with just the click of a button. Parent Square allows you to fill out a form quickly. No more handouts and permission slips lost at the bottom of backpacks. You can sign up to bring in an item or RSVP for an event. You can also comment on and appreciate a post. Please give these generously to show your school community support. Using Parent Square, you can also chat directly with a teacher or staff member using our messages feature. This keeps all communication in one place without the need of additional directories or email addresses. We also have a personalized calendar to keep you up to date with school events, and our photo library stores all photos that have been shared over the course of the year. Thank you for joining Parent Square. Register your account, download the app, and start interacting with your school community today.
Okay, we wanted to give you some tips on how to make your child successful this school year. Our first was attendance with Shelley York. And then last year, we really wanted to listen and give parents a great way to communicate. And that is why we switched to Parent Square. And after working with parents, the best way is to download the Parent Square app. So you do have that on your phone. You can also go through our Trinity Basin app and you can get to Parent Square that way. But either one, you can stay on top of that communication. Think of the app as a text message where you can directly email those teachers. So if you have a student that does not have a fever and not feeling well, you can send them to school. You can direct message the teacher and just check on that student throughout the day. You have a question about, did they turn in their permission slip or did they turn in their attendance note? You can direct message that teacher and that teacher can message you back. So that is a top priority of how you can communicate back and forth with the teacher other than email. The other thing about Parent Square is you are going to receive the newsletters. Those should be going out per campus, the principal or the office. Then teachers are sending out newsletters and updates and messages and reminders, and then the grade level team. All of those things you can kind of communicate and keep in one place with that Parent Square app. Okay. If you have any trouble at all, I'm going to link a little later in the presentation, this video, so that you can go back to it. If you have any trouble at all, you can contact us. We'll give you the contact information at the end of this presentation, or go up to your school office and the school receptionist will be more than happy to help you get on Parent Square. Okay. And then the next thing I want to talk to you about, I'm going to change my screen, is making sure you know how to view grades through Skyward. So this is going to be through your family access. Everyone had to create that Skyward account to update your information and your enrollment and registration. And so again, the best way to get to family access is through the Trinity Basin app. And then I'm going to play this video for you.
Keeping tabs on your student's current grades ensures the student is staying on track. Viewing grade records allows you to do this quickly and easily. We'll begin by selecting the grading tile. We can select the current missing assignments link to view any assignments identified as missing by the student's teacher. By clicking on a grade for a class, we can see the progress report for that particular grade. The progress report includes all assignments, as well as the details for each assignment. We can select a specific assignment if we'd like to see further details. The Calculations option allows us to see the calculation method used to calculate the grade we're viewing. Lastly, the Grading Scale option shows us the scale that is used to determine the student's grade. Now that you know how to view grade records, you can easily stay up to date on your students' grades.
Okay, just a real quick video on how to check your grades. I know that when my student was still in school, the only way I could kind of keep up with how she was doing in class is checking those grades. And you can also set how often you want to get those notifications. If you want to know if they receive a grade under 70, it would automatically email you, or even a grade under 80, however you want to kind of set that up, or just get the weekly report like on Friday afternoon. But the grade book is live. What a teacher sees and enters is what you will be able to see at home. That way, if they do fail a class, an assignment, or have a missing assignment, then you can see exactly day to day, real time, if that information was uploaded, or if they need to retake or do some makeup work, or if they're struggling, you know, what kind of interventions that the teachers have to offer. Okay. Just kind of let you know, at this time of year, it is the end of the 6 weeks. all the campuses just wrapped up their beginning of the year assessments. And so what they are going to be working on Friday while your kiddos stay home is making sure that we have small group instruction based on those students' needs. So all teachers in every subject will be grouping students and creating individual plans based on whatever skills that they show that there are gaps in or struggling. So the next 6 weeks, that attendance is super important, because if they miss a day, they're not only missing their class assignment, but they're missing that makeup assignment that is going very fast and really aligned with catching them up and building that background information that they need to be successful. So it's super important that they are in school and that we have a very consistent second 6 weeks so that we can get your kiddos meeting their goals by Christmas time. Just to kind of give you a little statistic, if a student has a 95% attendance rate, that still means that they missed about 50 lessons, 10 entire days of school, which is 2 entire weeks of instruction. And so to give it a little bit, we think a 95 is a great grade, but that is a lot of instruction that kiddos are missing. Now, one thing that you can do at home to help your students, it doesn't matter if they are high performing and doing well in a subject, or if they're struggling in a subject. Every single student, pre-K through 12th grade, should be working on their online applications at home. Both of these applications will help students based on their need. So again, all of those assessments that we did the first 6 weeks, we did a lot of pre-assessments and just a lot of progress monitoring assessments to see where they are and what skills that they need to practice on. And then all of that is created in an individual plan. And I want you to focus on math and reading. So on the screen right here, when they log into ClassLink, this is their dashboard, and you'll see right up here is IXL. That is the math online application that we use. So that is already set up based on whatever skills that they need and what those priorities are on. For reading, they're going to go into progress learning, which on the screenshot, it does not have progress learning, but it is called progress learning. It has a little color to it. The students are familiar with it, so they will know what it looks like, but they should go into progress learning first or amplify, and they should be working 20 to 30 minutes every single day in either math or reading or both, and work on those skills that they need. You can always ask a teacher if you have any questions about those applications, but do not let a student come home and tell you that they do not have homework. They should have homework. If they don't have a written assignment or a Google assignment, then they should be logging on to IXL or Progress Learning every single day. If you ever need, some time for students to work on something, if you're busy or have something on the weekend, those are always great applications that they can get into 7 days a week. That was a lot of information. Do you have any questions for me before we go on to our next presenter? I will link that information into the chat in a little bit while the other presenter is presenting. One thing I do want to point out, 5th through 12th grade, they do take their devices home, so they can easily, as long as they have internet access, get into ClassLink on their dashboard. But if you have a pre-K through 4th grade student that does not take their device home, they can still log into it through the internet. We're going to make sure under the Parent and Student Resource tab that you see that ClassLink login right there. I'll get that set up by the end of the day today. We didn't realize that we took it down, but I'm going to get it back up for you. So all you have to go is the Trinity Basin website, go to Parents and Students, and then you'll see that ClassLink login. Once you get them logged in, they'll see that dashboard, and all students know exactly how to navigate it from there. And again, if you have any questions, use that Parent Square app to direct message the teacher to get their passcode.
I did have a question about Skyward. You were saying there's a way to set up a notification if a student receives below a certain grade. Do you know where that is to be able to set that up?
Yes, when you go into that grading, at the top, it should have a little thing that says notification.
And is that only through the web version or also the app?
It should be through the app as well.
Okay.
But I can figure out while we have the presenter presenting exactly what that looks like for you. I just don't always have the parent side, so it looks different for me. But one of the parents can jump on and kind of see what that looks like on their side. I can go next door.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Me and Laura were just talking about homework. It's true. If TBP doesn't assign homework from the teacher, they do encourage the kids to get on the application per grade level. I know there's a lot of the classes, like for an example, my grandbaby will get on, I believe it was iStation. And there was a competition at the end of the school year, and he won. So he was pretty excited. So, that motivates the kids to do something in the afternoon, even though they don't have homework assigned from the teacher. But anyway,
Julie, let me just explain why.
Juliana Aguilar.
Yep. Julie, let me just explain real quick why that is the best option. Because if I send a homework assignment home, say it's a kindergarten learning a sound, and I send home a worksheet for letter S, if your student already knows the letter S, we're kind of wasting their time. But if they get onto that progress learning, they could be working on vowels while other students are working on letters. So everyone is really getting practice on what they need. So that's why we really, especially in the lower grades, really want to push them learning and getting on those apps every single day.
Great, thank you. So our next speaker is Juliana Aguilar. She is with Crime Stoppers of Houston, and she is going to be doing a presentation for us. Juliana?
Hi guys, good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Please let me know if you are not able to see it. Is everyone able to see my screen? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes.
Okay, so before I begin, I do want to first off talk about something called the Tip Line program. Even though my organization is based in Houston and that is where our headquarters is at, I am based here in Dallas. So I live in the Garland area. And so I want to take some time to talk about a Tip Line program, and this could be beneficial for you, but especially our students. So within every city, there is a Crime Stoppers available to you. And what this is, it's an anonymous way to report some sort of crime that you have witnessed, that you know of, that you've been seeing online maybe. Typically, they are open 24/7. It is staffed by law enforcement, and it is for you to help solve crimes and located unwanted fugitives. So in the case of students, if students are timid to come to principals, their local law enforcement that are on campus, then what they can do is go to their local tip line programs and report on there. Let's say that they hear about a student that is wanting to bring a weapon to campus. This is something that they could report through this program. And of course, it is anonymous. So when you report, you're never going to be asked for your name, your phone number, your address, or any other information that could identify you. So how does it work exactly? Well, when you do call and you leave this anonymous report, whether it be via phone call, online, or by an app, I know certain ones do have an app available. They do give you a code number. You do not want to misplace this code number because this is the only way to look up your case. So if your tip did lead to some sort of arrest or disciplinary action, there will be a compensation for that. That compensation amount really does depend on where you live. So for example, I live here in Garland. The cash reward here in Garland is up to $5,000. Now remember, that doesn't always mean that you're going to get that exact amount. It means that you could go up to that amount. So I believe that Dallas may be up in that number too, but it really just does. It depends exactly where you live. Some cities are only up to 1,000, but even then it's money, right? And this is definitely something that allows students to be like, oh, wow, I'm going to get cash for leaving a tip. Let me go ahead and do that. So moving on to the bullying prevention presentation that I am going to be doing today. I know that we do hear about this a lot. You hear about it all the time at schools, communities, online, but hopefully today's presentation allows you to take some sort of at least one new fact away and you're able to learn something new. So exactly what is bullying now? Well, before we only heard about schoolyard bullying and, what was that? It was something that was physical. It was something that was really only done on campus and that was it. Once you got home, it kind of went away. But now, because of the rise of the internet, there's so many students now starting at the age of first grade that they now have their own phones. I mean, babies now are being born and they're using tablets. They're born knowing how to use technology. So now the new kind of bullying is cyberbullying. It follows you everywhere you go. It can be more difficult to identify in the case that there's fake profiles. It's not always physical, so parents can't always identify that something's going on with their children's lives. Now, these are the different types of bullying. There's physical, it kind of relates back to that schoolyard bullying that we saw back then, but also now that still happens. We have the verbal kind of bullying. We have the social one. So that's kind of like in groups, maybe it's a group of 3 or 4 students that are ganging up on one student. Maybe they're pulling pranks on them. Anything of that nature where they're spreading rumors about them and it's in one friend group. And of course, it is also cyberbullying. So here are just some stats. Nearly half, so 46% of US teens have been cyberbullied. Approximately 160,000 teens have skipped school because of bullying. I live with my nephew, so he lives with me actually, but he's in high school. And just a couple weeks ago, he had a sty in his eye and he didn't want to go to school because he didn't want to be bullied. So that's just one example of the many ways that a student can be bullied. More than half of bullying situations, 57%, stop when a peer intervenes on behalf of a student being bullied. And that's what I really like to tell students when I go out to these schools and I present is if you stand up to someone and the bully knows that the victim is no longer alone and he has some sort of support, most of the time that bully will kind of start to back away. And of course, more males experience physical bullying while females experience social bullying. So we're definitely going to see more of the rumors being spread around, the exclusion when it comes to girls. So exactly what is it? How does it start? Well, bullying is an aggressive behavior that is intentional. Their intention is to harm someone else. It's repeated. And of course, it involves an imbalance of power. So that imbalance of power could probably look like an older student bullying someone younger, or maybe the big athlete bullying the smaller teenager. So you're definitely going to see that imbalance there. So it is an action that results in a student harming someone else. So that intentional side. It can also be something in which a student damages another student's property or places a student in a state of reasonable fear or harm. So of course, the victim is not going to want to go to school. They're going to fear, when is the next time that I'm going to be targeted? When is the next comment online going to be posted? Anything of that nature. However, when it comes to bullying, there is some confusion on what bullying versus conflict looks like. So of course, bullying intends to cause some type of harm, whereas conflict can be a learning experience to develop conflict resolution and problem-solving skills, right? So I can have a conflict with my best friend. We can have a conflict over what music genre is better, right? But at the end of the day, we're still going to remain friends. I can have a conflict with my mom on what dish is better. but at the end of the day, I'm still going to have that good relationship with her. Versus bullying, of course, it's just intended to really harm someone else. So I'm going to go over a few scenarios of what that could look like. And the last scenario, we're going to go over 3. Can be very upsetting, but I just want to make it aware of what this will look like. So first scenario is Miles waits for Tyler to leave his first period class every day. Miles is an athlete and much bigger than Tyler and does not like Tyler at all. Almost every day, Miles confronts Tyler after first period and knocks his books from his hands. Tyler does nothing to retaliate. Well, let's look at the details here. Miles is an athlete and much bigger. Earlier, I spoke about that imbalance of power. So, of course, if Miles is an athlete and much bigger, he's going to go for someone that's much more vulnerable. And it's almost every day. So it's a repeated action. So in this case, of course, it is bullying. Second scenario is Emma and Lisa are longtime friends who grew up together in the same neighborhood. They are both on the school softball team and are very popular at school. Lately, they have gotten more competitive at practice and grown further apart. At times, they have been observed at school taunting each other and making fun of each other's families. No physical altercations have occurred. Well, this one's a little different, right? They grew up together, same neighborhood, probably around the same age. They're both on the school softball team, so they both have about the same balance of power, right? They both probably have around the same popularity status. But they're both taunting each other and making fun of each other. So it's not one ganging up on the other and the other not doing anything and not retaliating. It's both very much, it's an equal thing. They're both doing it to each other. So in this case, it is not some sort of bullying because they're both going against one another. So this could be an act of conflict. Now the third one. Parker and Morgan go to the same school and walk home every day. One day after leaving the school campus, Parker decides to tease Morgan and on their walk home. Parker pushes Morgan to the ground and dumps out her backpack. Parker is much bigger than Morgan, so it was easy for her to push her down. Morgan runs home crying. Morgan's mom has called up to the school to report that Morgan is a victim of bullying. This one's a little bit more complicated, and it could be very upsetting. But this is a scenario that could happen in real life. So we don't see, as of now, on this one scenario, we don't see that it's a repeated action. It is one day. Whereas Parker is much bigger than Morgan, we see that imbalance of power. And we see that it has aggression, right? He pushed her down and dumps out her backpack. Well, because this was after school, this was not on school grounds, and it was something physical. It was not something that was done over the internet. The school cannot intervene. And I will go over that further down the presentation on why the school cannot intervene. The school can only intervene outside of school if it is done through the internet. So in this case, it would not be considered bullying because it was only done one time. And that's pretty much the gist of it. So this can be a very upsetting scenario just because this could happen in real life to one of your kiddos. But that is why it's important for me to go over these things and really make you aware of what it could be considered under. So leading up now to cyberbullying, what exactly is it? Well, it's the electronic version of bullying and can be punishable by law, and I will go over that law. It occurs when individuals engage in bullying using any electronic communication devices, including a camera, a computer, a tablet, phone, gaming console, pretty much anything that you can access the internet by. So these are the different type of things that would be considered cyberbullying. Of course, mean messages, threats of harm, spreading rumors, taking or sending embarrassing or inappropriate images. I see that a lot. Now, before I started this position, I used to be a high school teacher myself, And it's very popular with today's generation to go around taking 0.5s, taking random pictures, especially with Snapchat being so popular still with this generation. They're taking these pictures without consent, and that, whether they know it or not, it is some sort of cyberbullying if they're not friends or if they're just taking pictures of others who they are not friends with. Photoshopping someone's image, I've also seen that a lot, especially now with AI. It is so easy to manipulate someone's image. They can somehow make their body shape bigger, smaller, some facial features. They can do the same thing. So that is another type of cyberbullying. Of course, spreading rumors and impersonating someone via a fake profile. These are some signs that someone is being cyberbullied. So, of course, it is low engagement in school, changes in diet. They want to avoid social situations. They get nervous when they receive a message just because they're not sure of what it could be. Maybe it's another form of bullying. So they are going to get nervous when they get any sort of notification. These are some effects, psychological effects. So, of course, anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, self-harm, substance abuse, and aggression. If you did not know this already, suicide is the second highest way of death among teenagers. So it is very important. I know we hear and we talk about bullying so much, but it is a very serious topic to talk about. Some effects of bullying on the physical side. Well, of course, sleep disorders, stomach aches, headaches, heart palpitations, dizziness, and chronic pain. If you haven't heard of something called the cortisol hormone, or it's a stress hormone in the body that typically happens after a stressful event and can impact the immune system and hormones. So that is definitely something that you want to look out after. Typically what this looks like is your face can get a little puffy. Your student or your child can look a little bit more bloated on their stomach area. So it definitely has a lot to do with your physical health as well. And of course, academic. Well, if bullying is affecting them, physically and also mentally, it is going to take a toll on their academics as well. It's going to have a negative impact on their school performance, on their impact on grades and, their STAR tests. It's not going to allow them to focus. It's not going to allow them to retain any sort of information. And of course, it's going to decrease their drive to learn. So the risk factors of a victim. And what I mean by this is typically who the bullies go after. They're going to go after someone who is vulnerable, someone who is perceived as weak, someone who is already depressed or anxious, has low self-esteem, or has a challenging relationship with peers. Maybe someone who doesn't have very many friends, maybe someone who they see that's always alone. Those are typically the victims that they are going to go after. And of course, these are some risk factors for the bullies. So they are going to have difficulty following the rules. Typically, someone who is a bully has parental involvement is lacking or harsh. So if you're at a home or you know someone who has a son or a daughter that they're not really around, or maybe their parenting skills are pretty harsh, it could be a possibility that they are at risk of having a bully in their home. They like or encourage violence, or they're aggressive or easily frustrated. Protective factors, a way to prevent this is to have a trusted adult or a mentor. Even just having one trusted adult that a student can talk to will do wonders. It truly takes a village. So as long as they have someone, whether that be at school, it could be a counselor, a teacher, a coach, an aunt, uncle, sister, whoever, as long as they have one trusted adult that they can talk to, it will make the biggest difference. The more involved that they are in school activities, the more they're kept busy. Of course, involvement in the community. They want to like school. They want just making sure that they truly are involved. I do want to touch base on, now that we're getting into the law, before I get into that, I want to talk about how this came about. So David Moloch, his parents created something called David's Legacy. David Moloch was a 16-year-old student that lived in San Antonio. He died by suicide in 2016 due to extreme cyberbullying. Unfortunately, he was cyberbullied online. His parents even switched him schools and it followed him. And, you know, even though he got rid of the social media, that didn't stop because he was still cyberbullied through text messages. So hopefully the video plays just to give you some more in-depth about his story. If someone can let me know if you don't hear, but hopefully it works. I'm gonna pause it. Are you guys
We're not able to hear it.
No? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Well, I won't play it then, but I'll just go back and tell you more. Pretty much, I'll just tell you more about it. How this happened is David was not your typical victim. David had a good amount of group of friends. He was involved. He was an athlete. He was involved in the community. He wasn't the typical victim that bullies go after. Well, what happened was that David started to date the popular girl, and the popular students were not in agreement with it. So what did they start doing? They started to really go after his physical traits. They started to bully him on social media. He couldn't take it. Fortunately, David did have a great support system. He was able to go to his parents. He was able to go to his brothers and talk about it. Now, his parents did everything they could. They sought help. They even switched him schools. And he took down his social media. Well, that didn't help because this group of students added him to a group message. And in this group message, they were still going after him. They were still calling him names. They were still just attacking him. And it got to a point that David just could no longer, keep up with it. He couldn't take it anymore. And he ended up committing suicide in his own backyard on a Sunday afternoon, a Sunday evening, actually. And he did hang himself in his backyard using a tree, of course. And so, unfortunately, when this happened, there was no sort of law in place to, discipline these students that were bullying him because there was no physical harm. To do anything before this happened, it had to be some sort of bullying that was physical. So what his parents did is they created David's Law. And now it is illegal for a child to commit any sort of cyberbullying. So if a student is caught cyberbullying someone else, they can now be disciplined by the age of 10 years old. So if there is evidence that the students are cyberbullying someone, it starts off with a misdemeanor B. It can be up to 6 months in a juvenile detention and up to a $2,000 fine. And if this continues after they are done with that time, or maybe the language that they're using towards their victim is very harsh, they're using things like kill yourself or anything along that language, it can go up to a year in juvenile detention and a $4,000 fine. And just remember, that starts by the age of 10. So what it does now is that David's Law now helps you in the school setting. So it provides anonymous reporting for students. It requires parents of victim to be notified within 3 days of incidents. It allows for restraining orders and other injunctions against the bully, and it qualifies cyberbullying as a misdemeanor and up to 1 year in jail and a $4,000 fine. Now, because this is cyberbullying, and it is affecting your child in all sorts of ways, especially academic wise, now authorities can go ahead and start investigating this even outside of the school setting. So there is different ways to go about this. There is an informal way of reporting this. So of course, emailing, calling, or making an appointment to meet with your child's teacher, counselor, or administrator. You want to take notes and ask questions like, what steps are you going to take to address the issue? And also understand that there may not be things that the school cannot tell you due to privacy laws. So that can also be anything possibly having to do with the bully themselves. But there is also a formal way. Let's say that unfortunately you're just not receiving any type of response with the informal process. Well, you can go through something called the formal process. Level 1 is you probably just want to go ahead and take it up with the principal. You may need to request forms from the district, include any supporting documentation. I always say, please do not allow your son or your daughter to delete any type of evidence. Definitely take screenshots of whatever is being told to the victim. If the principal for some reason still isn't getting back to you, taking too long, and you just need to take matters into your own hands quicker, well, then you can take it up to level 2 and submit a written appeal notice and request meeting with the superintendent. If that still isn't working out, then you can appeal to the school board. And at that point, if you're not hearing from the school board, then you can go ahead and take it up with the Texas Education Agency, with TEA, and it'll kind of tell you how to do this. You go into their website and you go into complaints and investigations. Now, for any situation, any scenario to be considered bullying, at least one criterion from each box is not satisfied, then the incident does not qualify as bullying according to the state law. So if you guys want to take a picture of this, please do so. But at least there has to be at least one thing that is being checked off within each and every one of these boxes. Now, like when we went over the bullying and conflict side of it, there's things that don't always qualify as bullying. There's things that could be qualified something like this. So for example, assault is not the same as bullying, right? Assault is definitely something that can be considered worse. So it's causing or attempting to cause or threatening to cause physical injury. That's considered assault. Harassment is conducted which annoys, threatens, or intimidates, or offends or causes fear and or a hostile environment. And of course, online impersonation is acting with intent to harm, defraud, or intimidate by creating a page on a website. Of course, all of these really depend on the scenario, but these are considered to be non-bullying crimes. Now, there is prevention. Hopefully this will help you. The best thing that we can do is, of course, talk to our kiddos and truly just engage. You want to really engage with them. You want to make sure that you can be that trusted adult for them and that they can come to you in the case that this ever happens to them. They will feel more comfortable and talk to you about it and let you know, hey, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, this is what's going on. And you guys can restart with the process of reporting. You want to encourage them. You want to really have empathy when it comes to this. You want to tell them, I understand you, what's going on. You want to have a tone with them that really allows them to be like, you know what, I am being understood. Let me go ahead and begin telling them everything. Tone matters a lot, especially at this age, in the adolescent age. They're going through a really tough time, and so you really want to show empathy when it comes to situations like this. And of course, foster expectations for healthy relationships. These conversations truly begin at a young age. The environment that they're surrounded by truly does make an impact on their lives. If they are in an environment at home where they're seeing maybe bullies, like maybe their siblings are being bullies towards each other, or maybe it's not a healthy environment within the parents. Maybe the mom is bullying the dad or vice versa, and they're using certain language. That could definitely make an impact on them and how they will take that along their own future. So definitely setting healthy expectations at home and just making sure that you're conversating with them and letting them know what's okay and what's not okay. And for sure, allowing them to know that if they do bully someone online, they can go to jail starting at the age of 10. And how do you respond to a bully? Well, you want to ask the bully to stop. A lot of the times, these victims just kind of leave it alone. They let it be. They're very timid. They're scared. They don't stand up for themselves. So it is important to let your little ones know that they need to tell their bully to stop, to not respond. They don't want to make the situation where it's just do not respond unless they are telling them to stop. Save the evidence, save all the screenshots, maybe letters, proof of whatever's going on. If they're vandalizing some sort of property, take evidence of that. Take evidence of everything that is possible. Report and block. Unfortunately, with the case that we just saw in David Molak, he didn't block the phone numbers. But it would have been great for him to do that. But I'm sure he wasn't even aware that they would text them. So if there is a bully and they are bullying your child, you just want to make sure to let them know that, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and block them on everything you may have them on, whether that be a phone number, social media, anything possible, so they do not have any sort of contact with them. Tell an adult. This is the one thing that a lot of these students do not understand, is that they do not tell an adult. And of course, a lot of the time they don't tell an adult because they don't feel that they can trust someone. And that is when these conversations matter, to make sure that they have that at least one person that they can tell. And then once they do tell an adult, then you guys can go ahead and file a police report. And this is very important to do. You want to believe when they're telling you these things. You want to believe a child when they're telling you, Mom, Dad, I am being bullied at school physically, or they are bullying me online. You want to really believe them. You want to have empathy for them. You want to hear them out. Second is, what you want to do is report it to your teachers, to your local authorities. Take the steps that you need to take in order to make sure that your child is safe. And you want to advocate, of course. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. I hope that you learned some new information. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Let's see. Ms. Baker, I know that you put a message in the chat box. I think that we would probably like to address that with you on a personal basis. So if you would like to call me, you can call me at 817-760-8174. Let me repeat the number again, 817-760-8174, and I'll also put it in the chat box.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have a question that you would like to ask Juliana directly?
Okay, there was one question. Did she answer in the chat box about what if it's school age kids, but they don't attend the schools that they're attending?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? Oh.
Yep. So a parent asked if they're being bullied by school age students, but they are not students from Trinity Basin.
So it can only, officials can only do something about it if it is something that's due by cyberbullying. If it's cyberbullying, then they can look into it. By state law, that has to be a requirement. But if it's something being physically done outside of school, then there's no law about that yet.
Okay. Thank you, Juliana. Again, I learned something new. Every time you pay attention to the presentation, you know, there's something else new that I picked up. So thank you very much. Ms. Martinez, you put something in the chat box.
Yeah, so I just added a last video about how to change the notifications in Gradebook. So if the options aren't there, then they may not be set up with our new Skyward queue, but I did want to get that video. There was also a question about special ed or kind of intervention. So I just want to kind of explain how that works. So as I said, as they are putting students in groups and working with students, they really look at each group of students and their needs. So the first intervention will always come from the classroom teacher. But we do have intervention teachers on campus that will push in and or pull out for students that need those intervention teachers. With special education, students that are already in special education and receive special education services, again, is that individual ARD plan that based on the student's need, they may push in, they may pull out, they may do both, but it's all decided in that ARD meeting based on whatever plan and support that that student needs. So if you have any questions about what type of intervention your student is receiving and why, and then you can always go to the classroom teacher first and then work with any of the intervention teachers or SPED teacher that's working with your student as well. But it's not a one size fits all. It's really based on the skills that they need and how much support that they need.
Okay, great, thank you. Parents, thank you for staying with us throughout this presentations that we had. We are about to do our giveaway. Let me see if I can find. Yeah.
And while she's looking for the giveaway, if you want to put in the chat, like if this virtual meeting worked for you at lunchtime, it was the first time we kind of tried this and made it convenient for parents, but we do want to do more in-person meetings. So we did those on campus, you know, kind of per location. Would it be better to do that in the morning, during lunch, in the afternoon, or in the evening time? You can just put that in the chat so we can kind of see what your preference is. We would appreciate it.
I'm trying to see if I can make that come. Can you see it? Can you see the wheel? Yes. Okay. Okay, so the first gift will be a muffin tray. So we'll spin the wheel. Maria S. So Maria, are you still on the line?
Where is it? I just got back on.
Okay, that's fine. I know you were with us. So please feel free to call me on my number, 817-760-8174. You want to type it in? Give me a call back and that way I'll know which school you're at and we can send you your gift.
Oh, I didn't know they were sending gifts. I'm sorry. What was the phone number?
817-760-8174.
8174.
Okay, our next gift.
Congratulations.
Is, a small backpack. It's to put your like smaller supplies, like maybe a pair of shoes. Liz. Is Liz still with us? Going once, going twice. Okay, we'll move on. No. It's a pencil. Nora. Is Nora still on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, if you'll do the same thing, please give me a call so that way I can send your gift. Okay, we have another backpack that we're giving away. I'm gonna say this wrong. Tim Train, am I saying that correctly? No, Samita? No, okay. We'll spin it again since they're not with us. Erica.
I'm here.
Okay, Erica, please give me a call and we'll make arrangements to send your gift.
Thank you. What was
Okay,
the number
our
again?
last final gift is
It's in the chat.
Thank you.
a monitor, a computer. It's like a desk top. Natalie B, are you still on? No? No, no estaba. Natalie, are you with us? Going once, going twice. Okay, we're gonna spin it again. Let's see who's the lucky winner. Naomi. No? Okay, we're moving on. We're gonna remove Naomi. Oh, was she? Naomi, can you hear me? Going once, going twice. Okay. Janet H.
That's me.
Yes,
Yes,
you're
I'm
the
here.
lucky winner of our desktop. So Janet, give me a call at 817-760-8174 and we'll make arrangements to send your gift to your campus where your child is at.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, this concludes our presentation. Laura, do you have any announcements that you would like to make?
Parents, I just want to thank you all for spending time with us. It was great information. All of our presenters today had really, really great information for all of you. We hope to see you either through Zoom or in person next month for our next Parent University. We do have Parent University's presentations every month, so we do hope to see all of you next month. If you do not follow us on Facebook, do follow Trinity Basin Preparatory because we do put the presentations and the presenters that we'll be having there. Also on the newsletters that we send out. So please, if you don't already follow us, make sure that you follow us. Also, if you have any family members, friends, or neighbors that are looking for a school for their students, Please do know that we accept applications all year round. They do have to complete an application so we can process the application, make sure that we still have open seats for the grade levels that they're applying for. But we do accept applications all year round. So if you would like to refer our school to any of your friends, family members, neighbors, please let them know about us. They can visit our website, or they can give me a phone call and I will be more than happy to assist and answer any questions they have. My name is Laura Rios and I am going to put my number in the chat as well. But my number is 817-793-8351, 817-793-8351. And I am also going to put it in the chat. Again, thank you so much for being here. And that is all that I have.
Okay, and I
Thank
just,
you so much.
two quick
Oh, Ms.
announcements.
Martinez, I think she was going to say something.
Yes, Ms. Martinez.
I was just gonna say, don't forget no school for students on Friday and Monday. Friday, the teachers are in training, and Monday is a parent conference day. So if you want to talk to a teacher, you can contact them and set those parent conferences up.
On the parent
Good.
conference,
Thank
I
you, Ms.
set-
Martinez.
Yeah, well, on the parent, you had a question?
Sorry, yeah, on parent conference, I did set one up for one of his teachers. Do I need to set it up for both teachers, or will it be a combined conference?
You reach out and ask if they're going to be able to speak together, or if sometimes they communicate together and they'll tell you about reading and math. Sometimes they want those to be separate. It just kind of depends. So ask that teacher if it can be combined or if you need to set up two.
Okay, yeah, this is his third day, so I'm still trying to get the lay of the land.
Yeah, and it works different. Some teachers work really well together and they only want you to see one. Some like, no, I want to speak to each parent separate. So it just kind of depends on what the system is.
Okay,
So
perfect. Thank you all
welcome to
so
Trinity
much.
Basin.
Thank you. Y'all have a blessed day.
I was going to tell her the same thing. Welcome. So two quick announcements from me. We still continue to have our food pantry in the Dallas area. We have them at Live Better and 10th Street. If you haven't registered to receive the free food items, please do so. Our information is on the website, on our Facebook, and you should have received a message from me through Parent Square. Also, for the month of October, Concilio will be here at Live Better, and we will have the Healthy Kids, Healthy Families program starting pretty soon. So be looking out for that information. As always, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next month. Thank you. Take care.